Crossing Swords, two goalies, one mic. It is a meeting of the minds. I am Maniac, joined by Joe Cons and Dwayne. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Let's go Buffalo, baby! Hey, man, hockey is back in Buffalo. The city is buzzing. I couldn't be happier. My gosh, Buffalo is a hot commodity these days with sports, and I couldn't be happier.
It's a great time to be a Buffalo sports fan. Whether you're a UB fan, they're doing well in the MAC Conference so far. Whether you're a Bills fan, they got the Ravens on Saturday. But all eyes are on Key Bank Center tonight. So I'm going to kick it right to you. We're not going to waste any time, sponsors. We're not going to waste any time plugging anything. What is your guys' hot take for the Sabres this year? Let's start it with Dwayne and then go Cons.
I mean, let's just give Sabres Twitter what they want. We know Sabres Twitter is such a dark place, such a negative place. And what's the talk of today? Why the hell is Jeff Skinner down on the fourth line? The world is burning to the ground. Like, it's terrible. Like, burn it all down to the ground. Somebody already called WGR and said fire Ralph. There's already been a fire Ralph call. It's unbelievable. So with that all being said, I mean, am I upset that he's playing on the fourth line? Absolutely, because he's a goal scorer. He's done nothing but score goals his entire career. Just a couple of numbers. He has not failed to score 15 goals in a season before last season since 2013. He has scored at least 20 goals a season. The only time almost every year of his career, last time he didn't score 20 goals in one season before last year was 2013.
Even with last year, his career average or his last 5-year average is 28 goals. It's 20 goals. Cons, what do you got for the Sabres this year?
Yeah, so, at the beginning of the season, we've heard talks about Zemgus Girgensons playing on that line with Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel, and then he goes down with that injury, so he's out a little bit. What better person to turn to than a 6'5" versatile player in Tage Thompson? A lot of people are saying, oh, geez, Tage Thompson on the first line. Let's think about it for a second. A big guy, 6'5", he's got a power shot, and he can play well in the corner, okay? Guys that play well in the corner and battle for the puck are only going to make that line that much better. I'm all in on Tage Thompson. I know that it's a little premature, a little dramatic, but, he protects the puck well, blistering shot. His ability to battle for pucks down low and push the puck out to the front of the net are only going to make puck-savvy, accelerating forwards like Jack Eichel and Taylor Hall that much better. So I'm in on Tage Thompson this year on the first line.
The way I look at it is that Thompson's not out there to earn style points. He's out there to make sure that Hall and Eichel aren't the ones getting hit. Those guys aren't paid to get hit. They're paid to get points. They're paid to score goals. Shout out everybody tuning in on Twitter, on Crossing Swords, on Facebook. We are on the Crossing Swords podcast. Two goalies, one mic. Pre-game show, Sabres Capitals set to do battle in just about half an hour. And the one thing these guys are going to try and prove, gents, are that these are not the same old Sabres. Let me read you a quote real quick. They were doing some press the other day. Jack Eichel, this isn't last year or any of the past years. That's my mindset going into it. This is a completely new season with new players and a fresh, clean slate. I don't speak of last year's. And when I'm speaking with you guys this year, I'd prefer you didn't as well. I like this because it reminds me of McDermott and co. when they came to Buffalo. I get that Eichel's been here for some drought, but he's not taking accountability for that whole drought. He wasn't here in 2011. He wasn't here in 2012. He wasn't here in 2013. So with that said, what can the Sabres do to prove that they aren't the same old Sabres? Cons, you tell me, and then Dwayne, you top them off.
So I think there's a lot of, like you said about that feeling about McBean. I just like to combine McDermott and Bean in one sentence like everyone else does. Kevin Adams has been in touch with Brandon Bean about the draft, how things are going, the culture. And I think we're starting to slowly see the culture slightly shift a little bit. We got a guy, up front, Kevin Adams, who's from here, who's from Buffalo, that knows that we need to break this playoff drought. So I like that. But I think what needs to happen is I think Jack Eichel is foaming at the mouth knowing that Josh Allen is experiencing that success on the football field, and he'd like to experience that on the ice. So, I certainly think they're trending in the right direction, but we still got to play hockey games here. And I think that with the addition of Taylor Hall, I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but Cody Eakin, guys like Tobias Reeder, like these penalty killing specialists, these veterans that are coming in this lineup. Eric Stahl is a huge veteran that's going to help, this organization. So I think that they have the right pieces in place to at least be competitive this year. But, I like the way it's trending in the right direction. And hopefully, we see a competitive team on the ice that doesn't break our hearts in that second period where they fall back on their heels. Maybe I want to see full throttle, 3 periods of hockey. So I think, this will be, tonight's game against a quality opponent will be the first test where we'll see how high speed they play.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better myself, Cons. Like, listen, this isn't the same old Sabres. When would you see a Sabres organization go out and pursue a guy like Taylor Hall and actually sign him? You just added, in a normal 82-game season, you probably just added at least 35 goals to your roster. I'd say 35 at the minimum. Probably more playing on the left side of Jack Eichel. Not to mention you replaced, not that anybody could replace, ROR, Ryan O'Reilly. I know we don't like talking about the past. But you got a guy, a legitimate second-line center here. Something this team has lacked since, Berglund dipped out. He just didn't want to be here. So he just retired out of nowhere. We haven't been able to fill that void. So you just filled 2 huge voids. Not that there was a lack of scoring on Jack's left side, but the void there was you had to force all your skill onto one line. Now you don't have to do that. See, you drop Sam Reinhart down to the second line. If all analytics are correct, Sam Reinhart can drive his own line. Me personally, I would have liked to see him down in the third line because I think that would have really given you a bona fide top 9 forward group.
Okay, so let's get into it. On that point, don't move a muscle. We got the opening day lines. We got Hall, Eichel, Thompson, Olofsson, Stahl, Reinhart, Ryder, Eakin, Cousins, whatever you want to say, Skinner, Lazar, Sheehan. Where is the biggest potential problem in your guys? Dwayne, start us off.
I mean, should I?
Skinner, but more of a liability. Skinner's not a liability on a fourth line. He'd be a potential asset there.
No, I agree. In the 4 lines, are you talking about the entire team? Are you talking about just the 4 lines, 4 forward, the 4 forward?
I'm talking about all the combos, the defensive combos, the 4 lines.
Honestly, I think the biggest question mark is your defense is on defense. I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of change to this defensive core, which could both be good and bad. If all the predictions and all the lineups that they've shown in training camp so far prove to be true, you have Jake McCabe and Ristolainen, as your top pairing, which I couldn't disagree with more. I think it was proven last year that if Ristolainen his minutes are managed, he can be a bigger asset. He can play better in his own end. You're not forcing him to play 25 minutes a night. Then you have Rasmus Dahlin, who comes into camp 16 pounds heavier. You really want to see him take that next step this year, and I think he can only take that next step if you just feed him more minutes. Ryback, wrestling pump here. Feed me more. Feed Dahlin more. Give him more minutes. I think if you do those 2 things, you manage Ristolainen's minutes and you give Dahlin more minutes, I think you're going to see a really changing of the guard defensively with this team. Next big thing is in net. Now, we just had EJ Radic on 2 Goalies 1 Mic last week, and one of the key quotes he mentioned was, goaltending. Goaltending is supposed to a team is a garden, and your goaltender is submarining that garden. It helps it grow because when your goaltending is good and your goaltending is consistent, and your team in front of your goaltender is confident in your goaltender, it helps that team grow. It helps them play better. They might take more chances. You think back in the days of Hasek and Miller, they were confident in the goaltending here. We were able to take more chances offensively, more chances.
I agree with Miller on Hasek. He was basically just keeping them
alive.
Yeah. They weren't taking more chances.
No.
We got to score anyhow.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you could have sent all 3 forwards and defensemen down below the dots, and you have the greatest of all time, to save your ass if you screw up. The same thing could be said for Miller. There was at one point he was the greatest goaltender in the world. That couldn't even be denied that year, the year of the Olympics. But we haven't had that since Miller left Buffalo. Now that's where you need Linus Ullmark to take that next step. Now, last year there was a huge improvement from the previous year. There was. It couldn't be denied. 5-on-5, he was a .926 save percentage, which is probably near the top of the league. Where he struggled was on the penalty kill, an .898 save percentage, which is probably near the bottom, probably bottom 3 or 5. You can't have that happen this year. Like we started off the show with, you brought in Toby Reeder. You brought in Cody Eakin. You brought in Sheehan. Sheehan might be a dark horse for us, especially on the penalty kill. We talk about Toby Reeder as being, the penalty kill specialist. I hope, Riley Sheehan could take the bull by the horns in that department too. We lost Gergensen, and that was one of the things he took pride in. Gergensen was a stellar on the penalty kill. He grinded. He'd go into corners and he would tie up pucks. He would tie up bodies. That was his thing. Now we don't have him. So that's where you hope you can fill the void. That was left from last year. I think that is my biggest concern in special teams. Will the power play improve? And will the penalty kill improve as well? And I know it's a cliche saying, but your penalty killer has to be your goaltender. And I think in the Sabres case, that has to be true this year. He has to be Linus Ullmark. You have to be our best penalty killer.
All right, so you're more worried about Starter Hutton, who's getting the start tonight.
I don't hate Hutton. A lot of people hate Hutton. I think Hutton, as a goalie, I think Hutton was in a bad place mentally, and that combined with what was going on with his eyes. Once you're a goalie and you get into a funk, like the kind of funk that he was in, sometimes it's impossible to dig yourself out of. Think of yourself as a starting pitcher. When you're struggling, you're whether you're early in the game or late in the game, and you're in the middle of an inning, and you just gave up 3 walks in a row, and it's like, holy shit, I just dug myself this hole. How much to get out of it? Same thing with goaltending. Those are two of the toughest positions in all of sports. Pitching and goal. Yeah, because honestly, the game can be won or lost single-handedly by you. A pitcher can give up 6 runs in 1 inning, and a goaltender can give up 5 in one period. And it's an impossible hole to dig yourself out of, both, especially mentally. If you're in a funk mentally, it's true.
If he really upgraded his vision as much as the science says he did, Sabres playoffs should be like easy. Cons, talk to us, babe. What worries you the most?
So there's 2 things that worry me, and the first is, Olofsson playing on that second line and messing around with that magic that was last year. Because, Eichel went on Spit and Chicklets podcast and said that this is the greatest shot, one of the greatest shots he's ever seen. I mean, he went home and he told his dad, "Hey, Dad, like this Vicky O guy is incredible." Like all these is insane.
Quote, his exact quote was, "This guy could score 40 in his sleep."
Yeah, right. He could score 40 in his sleep. Now, I understand he could score 40 in his sleep, but when you move him off that line with Eichel, how successful is he going to be with Stahl and Reinhart? That's no knock on Stahl and Reinhart. It's just you're moving one of the best snipers that we had last season to that second line. How is he going to react to it? I think he'll play just fine, but I still have my doubts about that. My second thing I'm concerned about is why Kruger's defensive pairings are Dahlin and Montour. It's like 2 puck-carrying defensemen on 1 pairing. I just feel like you could better address that by moving Dahlin either up to the first or Montour up to the first.
Or Joker on your third pairing.
Right, or move him down, because it doesn't make any sense for me. With I like McCabe as a person, but as a player, he's not really he's kind of just a big body guy. So you have 2 big body guys as your first defensive pairing in comparison to 2 puck moving defensemen on your second pairing. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see how that works out. But in reference to Dahlin coming into camp, 14 to 16 pounds, like bigger with a lot of muscle on his frame, looking like Ivan Drago from Rocky Balboa. You'd think he's definitely ready to take over that number 1 role. You don't get your cleans, your lifts, all your deadlifts, and you don't get that big to play on a second pairing. I think early on in the season, we're going to see Dahlin catapult into that first pairing role, and it's all going to sort itself out. But I'm just concerned about those 2 things. Olofsson playing on the second line without Eichel, and Dahlin and Montour being a pair. 2 puck-moving defensemen just doesn't make any sense to me.
The Sabres have so much young talent. We've been talking about Eichel, Dahlin, Skinner, Hall, Olofsson. Jokiaro. We haven't even gotten into like everybody, but you just need that supplemental next layer behind them, so you're not getting crushed on the third line, fourth line. You're not getting crushed on the third defense pair. You're not getting crushed on the backup goalie, and that's a shot that the Sabres can prove this year because it's a shorter year. Some of those things can be hidden if they get hot. Speaking of get hot, it starts tonight against the Capitals. Folks, make sure if you're tuning in on Twitter, you're keeping it locked into Cross Swords Pod here on Twitter. We will be keeping it exclusive. Trainwrecksports.com articles there as well. Let's get into this matchup. Sabres, Capitals. When I look at the Sabres, Capitals, the first thing that sticks out to my mind about the Capitals, pardon my language, these guys are old as shit, Dwayne.
They are old, man.
By hockey standards, these are geezers.
My God, honestly, this is one of the teams I think Buffalo is going to hop if they're expected to make the playoffs because I don't have a ton of faith in the Washington Capitals. Their goaltending is a huge question mark. Cumulatively between both goalies, now that Lundqvist has had to call it a year because he had to have open heart surgery, 26 total games played in the NHL, and it's all by their starter Samsonov. Their backup is a career AHLer and a career AHLer and I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here.
Okay. Sometimes Dwayne loses the train.
Yeah. I did lose my. But Paul Hamilton's on the radio before the game talking about Hank Lundqvist and saying that he doesn't have it anymore. That he's lost a step or two. I'm sorry, Hank Lundqvist would have been better for you guys in a backup situation than a guy who's literally never played an NHL game. It's still the king. It's still King Hank.
Oh yeah, Hank. Anyone is kidding you if they're saying they would rather have an AHL goaltender over Henrik Lundqvist as their backstop. Cons, getting into this matchup, I mean, the Capitals lineup, is Ovechkin going to score, basically, is the tail of the tape to me. If he doesn't score, I feel like the Sabres win this game.
I mean, say what you guys want, and like you said, you got to jump this team if you want to make the playoffs this year. But, let's not, even though they're old, let's not forget Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, Verona, Kuznetsov, Wilson. Connor Sheary is playing wing with Eller Panic and Carl Hagelin. Like, these are like no slouches, guys. Like, these are guys that have been to the playoffs, that have played. I mean, Connor Sheary is your perfect winger that if you put him on the right line, he's going to get you 15, 20 goals a year. I mean, it's crazy to think. But to your point of if you could keep Ovechkin cooled off, yes. But you have to remember that Ovechkin very rarely takes a shift off because he's the quarterback on the power play.
He plays both power play units. He plays both units.
He's like a high school football player that played three sides of the ball: special teams, offense, and defense. I mean, the guy is crazy good. He's we know he's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend, but the Sabres have to do a better job of kind of picking him up on the ice. Picking Kuznetsov up on the ice and kind of closing in on pucks quickly. If that's one thing the Sabres can do tonight in this season is close on pucks. They've been poor on closing on pucks. They've been poor on back checking. I love the forechecking. I love the scoring, but they have to play defensive zone hockey if they want to go far and deep in this postseason this year.
Dwayne, before we get into the matchup, before we get into a little bit more of the Sabres, what's your key to stopping Ovechkin or beating the Caps?
Honestly, you need to possess the puck more than the Caps. I know that's like, oh yeah, duh, Dwayne, yeah. But listen, puck possession numbers for Buffalo in the past couple of years have been absolutely atrocious. You adding guys like Taylor Hall and Eric Stahl, your puck possessions are going to skyrocket. That means you're spending more time in the offensive zone than you're spending time in the defensive zone. And you know what? Having Taylor Hall on that top line, you're drawing hell of a lot more attention away from Jack Eichel, meaning you're giving Jack Eichel more space or you're giving Taylor Hall more space. You can't key two guys in on one guy anymore. Granted, Victor Olofsson did what he did last season. Sam Reinhart did what, but who are you most scared of on the ice last season? Are you scared of Victor Olofsson and Sam Reinhart? Or are you scared of Jack Eichel? Who are you going to double team? Who are you going to try and take out of the play? You're going to take the guy out of the play who's literally making those two other guys that much better. Now you have two elite, not questionable at all, two elite goal scorers and playmakers on the same line together. How many teams can honestly in this league say that they have two MVP caliber players on a line together? Because I don't even know if McDavid and Draisaitl I don't even think David and Draisaitl played really often at all together on the same line. I don't think they did at all. And I even Stamkos didn't play last season. I don't even think Kucherov or Stamkos played on the same line together either. They spread that wealth out. You have these two guys on the same line, and they're going to create a matchup hell for any team in this East Division, Mass Mutual Division, Dwayne Kahn's Maniac Division, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's going to create matchup hell. So that's my key to the game. You need to possess the puck more often. You need to give Jack and Taylor space, and having those two in a line together is exactly what it's going to do. And you know what? Carter Hutton, you have to get a good start early. Watch Carter Hutton early in this game. Is he gobbling up the puck? Is he controlling the rebounds into the corner, or is he putting him in danger areas? Because if he's controlling the pace of play early, making those first few key saves, even if they're easy saves, that's going to be key to his game. Because again, his confidence was all-time low last season. We need him to get him up here to start this game off. We expect to win. Confidence.
Get it up.
Confidence and swagger is so key for any goaltender. So early on, you need him to be focused, locked in. I love it. Controlling those rebounds into the corners. Don't put him in danger areas. So those are my two keys to the game. Possess the puck, control the pace of the game, and control the play. And goaltending wise, be consistent. Watch his feet. Is he controlling the play? Is he staying square to the puck? Don't stay square to the shooter. Stay square to the puck. If he's doing all these things, I think we're talking about a 6-3, 6-4 Sabres victory tonight.
Wow, I would love to be talking about that. Shout out our fans. We got Robbie Snyder on Facebook. Shouting out Dwayne. He says, "What's up, buddy?" We got Chief Obi Ty saying, "Did Ficht, Endel, or Elmer do Hutton's eye surgery?" And shout out Aiden on YouTube. Chime in. All right, we're not going to beat around the bush here. Give me one thing that needs to happen for the Sabres to make the playoffs this season. I'll let either of you go first.
A big step up in your goaltending for sure, and special teams.
One.
Oh, okay. Oh, special teams, and penalty killing goes hand in hand with goaltending. Yeah, okay. You need to improve dramatically on your special teams. If you're scoring more goals and your goaltender is letting less goals in on the penalty kill, I really see this team making a push to the playoffs.
I would say a stronger presence in the defensive zone, and the reason I say that is so that on like breakouts, like the Sabres need to be quick to break around and break out of the zone. So in doing so, closing in on pucks, as I mentioned earlier, and just being a force in the defensive zone. You got Dahlin, who's a brick now, who looks like a brick now. Rasmus Ristolainen's been a brick. Colin Miller's a brick. I don't care what anyone says. You got these big guys. Let's start using our body in defensive.
Colin Miller didn't get a fair shake last season.
He didn't, and he's a great defenseman. But you start back checking, you start playing defensive hockey, and you start creating breakouts out of the zone with Hall and Eichel and Olofsson. Eric Stahl's no slouch. I don't care how old he is. He can still skate. Get the puck to your forwards as quick as possible. Get on the forecheck, and there you have it. Create chances, score goals. I just think there's no way this team is any worse than they were last season. If they can play.
If Ristolainen and McCabe are above the Mendoza line analytically,
they win hockey games.
They're gonna win a lot of hockey games. That's all.
It's put up or shut up for Ristolainen this year. I'm sorry, it really is. In my opinion, as a fan, I don't know if Kruger's
this year he's like in year 6 or 7. I mean, why is it this year? I mean, let's be real. A Ristolainen, I mean, if you manage his minutes, I really think you have a solid second pairing defenseman.
No doubt about it. And speaking of proper pairing, speaking of a team getting the job done, Cons, tell the people as we head to the game day predictions, tell the people about some of the crew, the Sabres crew we're doing this year, trainwrecksports.com as well.
Yeah, we've got we've got Ty B, we've got myself, Dwayne, Trevor, Kevin Bogdan, we've got Haley too as well, and also Kelsey joined us too. And Dwayne,
kind of starting goalie for the Buffalo Buttes, baby.
We talk hockey 24/7. You guys can see Dwayne is more excited than probably any Sabres fan I know about hockey. So it doesn't matter if it's 10 p.m., 1 o'clock in the morning. Dwayne's always generating conversation and stoking the fire, and we appreciate that. So huge shout out. Go to trainwrecksports.com. Check out some of the articles that we'll be writing. We'll always have a pregame and a postgame for you. If you ever have any questions, feel free to shout us out on Twitter. You got @2goalies1mike and @trainwrecksports on Twitter. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
I love the plugs, but we're not here to talk pregame. We're not here to talk postgame. We're here to talk the game. Cons, start me off. Then Dwayne, Dwayne, I know you said what the game could be. Give me your predictions for tonight. What happens, Sabres Capitals?
I think the Sabres go down 2 goals early. I think they figure out how to move the puck. They get a little comfortable with each other. They come back. Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel seal the deal with a 3-2 victory.
I 100% disagree with Cons. I think the Sabres are going to come out like a bat out of hell right out of the gates. I think you're going to see them come out of the gate like a thoroughbred and really put pressure on these young goaltenders. And they brought in Zdeno Chara, who is a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. The guy is a stud, especially below the dots. But there's a lot more speed on this team this year. Dylan Cousins, proved in the World Juniors tournament that he can be just as fast on the wing as he is up the middle. We all remember that breakaway goal he scored early on in the tournament. The guy flew out of a rocket, was stride for stride with the defenseman in the neutral zone, and the second he took off, he was gone. So I really do believe we're going to get off a quick start here. I honestly think there won't be a moment where we're not going to be playing from behind in this game at all. I think we're really going to put the pressure on Washington, and I predict like a 6-3, 64 game here.
Fonzie, give it to me.
Yeah, I gave it to you, man. I said they go down 2 goals, they come back.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I just and that's just.
Don't get confused.
That's
You
not
lost me in the comeback. I lost it in the 2-0.
Yeah. So
Let's go. I got the Sabres going ahead 2-0. They get scored against. They score back again. Capitals score. It gets close, but they get the empty netter. 4-2 Sabres. Let's get on the warpath. Make sure you're following Crossroads Pop. Make sure you're following at 2 Goalies 1 Meg. Make sure you're following Dwayne S39 at Joe Cons Jr. Sabres on the warpath. Let's go Birds.